What's going on, knuckleheads? So in today's video, we're going to be upgrading the stereo on the 2021 Road Glide Special. I have a Rockford Fosgate 400 watt amp and the wiring kit that goes with it. To prep for this, we need to remove the seat, fuel tank, and outer fairing. So let's start with the seat. Now we need to remove the fuel tank. Now we just need to get the outer fairing. And now we need to do the headlight. So let's move and we'll snap that one out too. You know what? We're not even gonna worry about the snap. It's out. Now we're ready to start the actual install of the amp wiring harness. So let's get started on that part. Awesome. Fell. So now, the kit I'm using is the Rockford Fosgate. What is the actual part number? It's on the front. RFK HD14. It is for 2014 and up road glides and street glides. Comes with everything you need to install a Rockford Fosgate amp. And I'll show that to you too. And here's the amp we will be using today. It is a TM400X 4, which this is a 4 ohm fuck, can't talk, 4 ohm amp, which works out pretty good because I bought some speakers off of a coworker. They just happen to be 4 ohm. Are we going to be putting those on the bike today? Absolutely not, because I want to see how long, it won't be how long, but I want to see how good the factory speakers are up to, 55 mile an hour, because we don't ever speed on this channel. And if they'll take the amp. If they won't, oh well, I've already got the other one sitting up there on top of the beer fridge. One thing I forgot to tell you to do on prepping for installation, this wire cover needs to come off. There is 3 fabric strips that hold it on, or I guess it's not fabric strips, it's more of a cloth tape. And they won't be going back on. It does a pretty good job holding itself on. And we just fold that over, and you can see it'll stay right there because it is attached to the hydraulic lines for the brakes, going back to the ABS. Kids are home from school. All right, so let's start laying some wire. First wire we're going to be installing is the power wire for the amp. Now, Rockford does make this pretty simple. You have this wiring set that goes from the battery with a nice heavy fused link and plugs straight into the amp. Blue wire is your remote signal that turns on the amp, so it's not powered all the time. Now we will start the back and go ahead and work this through the underneath the handlebars, through the neck, or not through the neck, but through the fairing mount and into where the headlight was. I swear this is tighter on a 2021 than what it was on my 15. All right, so to get this to where I can move this plastic away enough to slide the wires through there. See, the wires slide right through there now. Is being blocked by this piece of plastic. I had to remove the nut. It takes 2 9/16 wrenches if you have it in a wheel chock or on a lift like I do. If you're lucky enough that you have it just sitting on the kickstand, handlebars turned all the way to one side, you'll be able to actually use a ratchet and actually have some leverage. Because that sumbitch was tight. Loctite was working good. Y'all can't see a fucking thing. Alright, so now that we've got that loose, let's run the wiring. There's the other end of our wiring. So we're going to pull this back. It's going to sit in the wiring tray with everything else. We will zip tie it down. Where it's zip tied down on the wiring that's already in there. And that's the only wiring I have to install. Trying to decide right now if I want to go ahead and install the wiring for rear speakers, which I'm probably going to, and just have it balled up in front of the battery, just in case I ever do want to run the tour pack speakers or maybe the Rockford speakers inside the saddlebag lids. Now, if Rockford wants to sponsor this video, a video and wants to give me the big subs that take up the entire saddlebags, I'd go for that. Just a heads up, Rockford. That's the only way I'm going to get them. And even then, they won't be in there on the long trips. All right, so after looking through my kit that I got, apparently mine did not come with the rear wiring harness. Not a huge bummer. I'm pretty sure if I order a stage 2 kit for this, I will get the wiring harness, along with everything else I've already installed. And like I said, I'm not sure I'm going to be installing rear speakers anytime soon. So that's going to do it for today. I'm cooking supper now, drinking a beer, running the grill. I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, so it's almost 24 hours from the time that I started this project, and don't think I slept but 3 hours max. So we're gonna try and get this thing buttoned up today. All right, so we've got the wires laid down on the tray. Our next step is to put this nut back on, since I do not have the wiring harness that would feed the rear speakers. Again, it is two 9/16 wrenches, one on each side of the frame. Holy shit. All right, so that is tight. Wires can still move. So let's get the wires connected. We will go ahead and zip tie our amp wires down. And before we connect this, connector hot, we're going to pull this fuse. That's just a safety thing. It's nobody's even told me to do that. It's just on me. Now I am just doing these zip ties loose so that I can still pull cable. Let's go ahead and connect our power wire. We will not connect the ground yet, just because we've got everything off still. I don't know if y'all can hear that, but the wind's fucking getting after it. All right, so our positive is good and tight. Our negative is just there for now. ECM's still out. We're going to move to the front of the bike, actually to the bench, and assemble the amp mount. If you haven't figured it out yet, this amp is one of the ones that mounts inside the fairing. I did not want the ones that go inside the saddlebag because, you know, I use that. GoPro stop recording. All right, so I know my light is kind of shit over here above the bench right now. That lamp went out when we were having power surges. So for your 2015 up Road Glide, you have to have this bracket. On the Street Glide, I think it's just the heat sink. But everything's labeled. So right, like that's how it's going to go. We will use the 4 screws that they supplied and tighten it down. All right, these are going to be an Allen head. In a minute, I'll tell you what size. These Allen screws are going to be a 5/64. We're just going to snug up these two and then dig the other two out of that plastic bag before we tighten anything down. Do you ever just want to beat people? All right, so we've got those 4 in. Now there are 8 other holes that line up. Don't know if you can see them. 4 in the middle, 4 at the top. I don't know what they go for. So now we need to get ready to install the amp. Now, even though I've had this amp for so damn long, if I can get everything out of the way from it, I still have not taken the plastic off of it. So there is our beautiful 400 watt amp. We can get rid of that because that is actually going to be on the bike. Now, the power end of the amp sticks outside the bike, or towards the outside of the bike. So we're just going to set it down, line up the 4, or the slots in the amp with the 2 holes right here in the middle. Now these are going to take a button Allen head. I don't know how well you guys can see that. It's pretty damn tiny. And it is probably going to be roughly the same size if I can figure out where I put my Allen wrench. There we go. Nope, it's actually bigger. Alright, so apparently the screws in this thing are metric. So the ones that are actually going to mount down the amp are a 2.5mm Allen. If you have them, use the ones with the straight end, or without the little ball on the end of it, however you want to put it. Now we'll go the opposite corner. All right, so now that we've got these tight, don't do what I just did. Apparently I turned it around at some point. All right, now that we have the amp mounted to the mounting plate, we're going to go ahead and tune the amplifier. Well, not really tune it, set it to its presets, because the controls you won't be able to get to whenever it's mounted on the bike. I gotta consult Rockford's video, see where it's supposed to be set at. All right. Well, it appears that everything is actually set pretty damn close.
Amp to 2-channel input. Set both crossover frequencies to 80 Hz and both switches.
The frequencies are off. They were all the way down. They need to go up to 80.
To high pass
And we need to take our pass switches to high pass, HP. All right, let's get you guys into some better light. All right, so we had to adjust, the hell are those? Input levels to me to 12 o'clock position. We had to turn down the EQs all the way to the left. We had to adjust the frequencies to 80 hertz. The 2 or 4 channel switch needs to be on 2 channel, and the pass switches need to be on high pass. All right, so now you ignore the potential spam. All right, now that we have our amplifier set up, we need to disconnect the main harness from the back of the radio, which it's as simple. I'll show you on this here. This will be how yours is on your radio right now. You'll push down on this little tab here and then just push that forward away from the wiring harness. So we'll go ahead and do that. That's disconnected. Now we'll go ahead and connect this one in the same fashion that it was plugged in. Roll it around. Lock it in place. And we will go ahead and connect these two. The one you disconnected from the radio and the harness that you were provided in your kit. Now, we will grab our amplifier and connect. Where the hell did they go? The amp input wires to the back side of the amp, because once we get this in there, there won't be any getting to it without pulling out the radio, and yeah, we're not doing that. So we'll go ahead and connect the front to the front and rear to the rear. You know, we do not have rear speakers. And now this little tab here, there's a crossbar that sits right underneath the radio. This tab is going to slide right up there, and then these tabs here will bolt right here. I'll try to get you a better view once I've got the bolt in. Stay. Now the kit comes with 2 sets of bolts and nut. Don't drop your nut. I'm going to grab a 5/16 wrench if I can find one. That's the one I seem to have a problem with. 5/16 and 8mm. They disappear pretty quick. But grab a 5/16 wrench to hold the nut so we can start the bolt. Yeah, I could not find a regular 5/16 wrench. I have 4 freaking sets of wrenches in that toolbox that are standards and no 5/16. 8mm is the same size, but I did have the set of miniature wrenches. It's going to come in handy. All right, so now that those are tight, hey dummy, when you're editing, put a picture of those nuts on there. All right, so now that the amplifier is installed, we will go ahead and connect our main power harness. Remember, the fuse is still disconnected. It just slides in there. It'll only go one way. Take your remote wire, your amp turn on wire, run it up here and to your accessory plug. Remove the dummy. And plug in your amp turn on. Now take your amp output wires that come from this big harness we installed. And of course, front is to front and back, rear is to rear. Go ahead and do the rear first. Now the front, and voila, we have a fully installed Rockford fosgate amp. Now we have a lot of wire tucking and whatnot to do, but the amp install is finished. So I think I know what this is too, but we don't use it. All right, so let's move around to the battery, get the ground connected, and get our fuse back in our fuse link. All right, so we've already got our power connected. I'll go ahead and remove the bolt from the ground. Connect our main ground and our amp ground. It's good and tight. See? 10mm. I can keep a hold of a damn 10mm. Don't ask me how. Now we will go ahead and turn our ignition switch on. I hate doing, oh wait. You gotta have the fuse link in there, dummy. Fusing the link. All right, that is a lot louder. And I need to swap out batteries. And when we come back, we will assemble. All right, now that we have the stereo installed, we just need to put it back together. So let's get the fairing. All right, one snap got it all. Works out better that way. That's going to do it for today's video. I would do a sound test, but I don't have any non-copyright music, royalty-free music on my phone. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when I upload. I'll see you guys in the next one.